we can all agree that UK politics is not exactly where we want it to be. And there's so many things that we all believe we could do better. My objective through these lives is to share the knowledge I have learned with people in a shorter format, just taking off the key things I've learned from the week on my journey of figuring out how I can fix and make a better change in the world. Libertarianism by Ludwig von Mises. Libertarianism is a classic work on the philosophy of individual freedom and limited government. Published in 1927, the book argues that individual liberty is the cornerstone of a prosperous and peaceful society, and that the only legitimate role of government is to protect the rights of individuals from aggression and coercion. Mises begins the book by defining the concept of liberty and distinguishing it from various forms of coercion, such as slavery, feudalism, and totalitarianism. He argues that freedom is the natural state of mankind, and that it is only using violence and aggression that individuals are coerced into surrendering their freedom. Mises then goes on to explore the various arguments for and against government intervention in the economy, including socialism, interventionism, and laissez-faire capitalism. He argues that socialism and interventionism lead to economic inefficiencies, shortages, and ultimately the destruction of individual freedom. On the other hand, laissez-faire capitalism, which is based on the principles of free market and private property, is the only system that can ensure the efficient use of resources and the satisfaction of consumers' wants and needs. Throughout the book, Mises stresses on the importance of individual freedom and limited government, arguing that the pursuit of economic and personal liberty is not only morally just, but also leads to greater prosperity, peace, and happiness. He also argues that government intervention in the economy leads to a distortion of prices and misallocation of resources, which ultimately harms consumers and producers alike. Overall, libertarianism is an important contribution to the philosophical and economic debate over the proper role of government in society. It presents a compelling case for the benefits of individual freedom and the dangers of government intervention, and remains a seminal work in the libertarian tradition. Now, this book is an old book. There's a couple of instances there where they use language that wouldn't be appropriate to today's woke audience, so I never put it in there. But if you can look past some of the language that was written in 1927 English or 1927 German, you understand that it's not aimed at anybody and it should just be ignored. Now, it took 7 hours to read this book. It was a really good read, and I thoroughly enjoy the subject of libertarianism. It is one of those political philosophies that I find aligns best with my beliefs, goals, and values. I think the reason why I'm drawn to libertarianism so much is it places a high value on freedom and autonomy, and being a person who loves to be in charge of his own life, being a person who feels like every day I make steps towards making my life better. I don't rely on government. I don't rely on other people to blame for my problems in my life. I take responsibility for everything of my own. And I continuously try to push forward to make my life better. And I feel the libertarian outlook is so aligned with my personal values that I'm drawn to it. The emphasis on personal freedom is really appealing to me, for somebody who values individual autonomy and is a self-determinated person. Secondly, libertarians believe in a limited role of government. They believe in having as small a government as possible, and they believe the true role of government is to protect individuals from harm such as theft, fraud, and aggression. This means that a libertarian system generally has really small government and low taxes, as they believe that excessive intervention from government can stifle economic growth, reduce personal freedom, and lead to corruption and an abuse of power. The next thing that I really like about libertarianism is it really advocates for the free market system. They believe that voluntary exchange and competition leads to the most efficient use of resources and the best outcomes for consumers. And this emphasis on economic freedom is really appealing to people who believe in entrepreneurship and innovation. Of course, there is criticism and challenges to the libertarian outlook, and I'll define the positives and negatives a bit later on. However, what I believe is there's no one-size-fits-all government or political philosophy. I think what we have to do is we have to work together to make a political ideology that aligns with everything we believe. And I believe in the UK right now, the time for change has come.